like that. They are the solar panels, but it also takes so much strength and energy for the plant to maintain those that on a energy use per acquirement level, like I said, I kind of use the thumbprint. If the leaf's as big as my hand, I pluck it off.
Okay. Well,
For
so
the
far, I'm
farming.
lucky enough to get one quite as big as my hand. I have pretty big hands. But that's my strive to do, hopefully one of these days. Okay, awesome. So that's all that's in my flower tent for now. I do have more room because right here I have my fan on my tray and I have plenty of room if I wanted, when I'm ready for more plants to go.
But that big plant on the left, what week of flower is that?
That is, what week of flower? So, I'd have to go look at my calendar. I think technically third week.
Okay.
Should she look different than that in flower?
No, not at all. I was just saying because, that's a pretty nice sized plant. And as it grows and it continues to fill out, you want to make sure that room's not too crowded so that you got your fan to have your ample flow. When I was just looking at it and when you're saying add a new plants.
Yeah, this one was the one that I had actually won in a contest, in a raffle that was already pretty pre-grown for me. So, I mean,
that's the Greentown.
Yeah, it's Matrix. Right? I love our community. Okay, so now I'm going to bring you on over to the smaller veg tent, which is quite crowded.
Yeah, veg can handle a little crowded.
Yeah. So let's see, where should we start? Should we start with the bigger plants that I was hoping to move into the flower tent?
Well, that's very nice.
Yeah. This is this is Matrix. I'm sorry, this is the clone that I had taken when I won the other plant from Intern Greentown. The clone that was in there, that was the one that I called Tanya. That's the one that I had left, it was just kind of left for dead in my tent for a couple of months. And then when I opened up the tent, I revived it. So this right here is me. This is my clone that I had taken at the end, which I'm sure she's probably going to need some pruning as well. Down here close to the dirt, there's lots of growth.
Looks nice.
Yeah, actually, that looks better than most of my grows before. I think definitely having you guys in my back pocket helping me out from the beginning. This is huge. Helping me out with my little lists and roadblocks. But yeah, so that's her. Now, is she one that can move over soon, or is she someone that needs a little more work in my bedroom?
I think she looks good. I would definitely defoliate the bottom, lollipop all the bottom leaves off. There's videos on that too, so just look up like lollipop and cannabis plant to get kind of the idea of what you're going to do. But it's pretty much just taking off all the bottom stuff that isn't getting any light. But yeah.
Yeah, like all of that.
Yep.
So with that stuff, so with all of this stuff that I'm about to cut off, would that be stuff that's small?
Yep.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. Beautiful. I'll try my hand at properly closing that now that I have some clothing. Okay, so these are the ones that I had transplanted into the 5-gallon pot. These were the seeds that had been planted back on March 9th. they're not up to high. I didn't have anything to prop them up on. But there's a humidifier going, and then up on the tray, I have another smaller one. Now, for the others, I had trimmed off the lower yellow leaves. That looks like I need to trim that off. And then here are some that I still need to transfer into bigger pots. I just don't have any room in this set to go into any bigger pots. That's why I was hoping that that maybe I could set other. And then these are the seeds that I had planted on the full moon. I just wanted to see if they were. And that's what they look like little seeds. One's so disgusted. And right now, well, this was higher before, but I opened up the tent. I don't know if you can see that, but the temp says 66.9, which it was 72 when I first opened it, and humidity was 56. And now it's just down to 47 for the big open roll. So that right now is just the veg temp.
Looks great. The tips I would personally give is those pots in the front, on the bottom, on the floor in the bottom. Yeah. I would throw like another inch of soil in them.
Okay.
Because there's kind of a pretty heavy gap in between, like from the camera angle, it looks like 3 or 4 inches between the soil and the top of the pot.
Yeah, it did settle after I had planted them. I was surprised that it was still fairly low, but I was surprised at how much it did settle.
Yep, it's a technique to learn, with the more you work with your soil, you'll learn its settling properties and stuff like that. But you've got nice structure going up along the top there. So just to promote, I would, like I said, put in another inch or two of soil up the stem. And if there's any leaves in that, any branches or leaves in the way there, just snip them off.
Okay.
And put a little more so that, like I said, you definitely want a little more soil. And that'll give you more access to roots, more roots, more fruits. And so I would definitely do that.
Here on the leaf, is that water burn?
That could be.
Is that for me putting water on it and not taking it off? It's not on all of the leaves. I just noticed it as I just drew this poster.
It looks like some kind of
but it's only one.
Maybe something was reflecting off the lights and hit gave it a little bit of a burn. That's what it looks like. It looks like light burn. But
I would just pluck that one off because that's a big leaf and you've got a lot of other leaves. So
yeah,
okay. Just pluck that one off and pay attention to make sure, a huge part of integrated pest management and, dealing with that stuff is just observing first, and figuring out your course of action. And it's probably just a light reflection burn. So like I said, put that leaf off and then just be attentive. Like if you see it come back, then be like, okay, is it in a different spot? Is it, what's reflecting from where to prevent that?
Okay, awesome.
And that other one, that big one, you could totally, like I said, prune down that bottom a little bit and ship it out to the flower.
Okay, do I need to wait a certain amount of time after I do some pruning?
You're not going to prune it that hardcore. Like if you were going to do a super hardcore pruning, I would say give it a little bit more time, but you're just going to prune off like a small amount from that bottom level.
Yeah.
So it'll be fine. You're not going to prune it so intently that the plant's going to feel damaged. Just, get some of that bottom junk off,
Okay.
So the highway's a little more straight, a little less off ramps.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. I'll stay just below. This was another one that I had injured too that I had picked up. But I'll stay below that. slogan. Okay, awesome.
Looks great, though.
Thanks to my farmers in my pocket. Okay, so I think back around. I mean that's pretty much it. I don't know. I mean, I think I can definitely do that pruning today and get the plant in the flowers. So awesome. Just gonna prop you guys back up. I don't know if Mike and Eric are still listening or if they just took a break. Now, what other suggestions do you have as far as like my next few steps? I mean, I know I'm gonna do the pruning and flip that one to flower and put more soil, more amended soil into those transplanted plants.
Now you play the waiting game. Okay. Just keep them happy, keep your humidity levels up, watch your temps, and just now you give it a week and see what's going on. Feed everybody, pour water depending on what your schedule is.
Okay.
And write it out, see what happens. Oh, and like I said, and definitely put a little more soil in those ones that are in the veg room and in the grow bags on the floor.
Okay.
Put a little more soil.
All right.
And then that also, because your soil mix has nutrients and stuff in it also, so it adds a little more nutrient jump in there too.
Okay. Should I do that? So for that more yellow one, the bigger plant that's in my flower tent, should I put a layer of amended soil on top of that, or should I just go with the nutrients?
Is there a huge gap on that one between the plant, the stem and the soil? No, right?
I mean, not as much of a gap as the other ones. I just didn't know if maybe putting amended soil on top of that would help at all. It's more.
At this stage, you've already moved on to using nutrients, so you can just continue with the nutrients.
Okay.
Just feed it more.
Yeah, just feed it more. Like I said, instead of water, feed, do feed, water.
Okay. So feed it more often as opposed to more volume.
Yeah, you never volume. Your plant is only going to absorb what it's going to absorb. Just like a human, we can only drink so much. So adding more volume of liquid doesn't necessarily help your plant at all, because what it can't take, it's just going to drain off in the bottom anyways. So yeah, it's more of, and you don't want to put too much, you don't want to increase your nutrient dose during each feeding, because that's how you'll get nutrient burn, because the plant, you can't be deficient on something and then just like take a whole boatload and fix it. You gotta wean your way up. You gotta baby your way up. So instead of, like in our grow, we water every other day because of our temperatures and our humidity and stuff like that. It works out that we water every other day. So in a week, we might water 3 times, or, like in, 8 days or 7 days, whatever it is, we might water 3 times, but it'll be one will just be a pH water, or I'm sorry, in our system, usually it'll be 2 of those waterings are pH water and 1 will have the nutrient and incorporated into it. Where right now, where you're a little deficient, you would do 2 with the nutrients incorporated and then a water. And then, because you want to give it that chance to see how it's interacting to those nutrients. Because like I said, soil is not as quick or as forgiving as hydroponics are. So you gotta let your soil bacteria do its work, all that microbiology that's in your soil work to break down what you're putting in there.
Okay.
And then, like I said, drive it all the way up the highway and get it where it needs to be. And, that's a nice sized plant. It's got a lot of branching off. So that's a lot, like I said, so that has to go up that highway and it's got to branch off here and branch off there and branch off here. So it takes a little bit. You don't get to Florida in an hour.
and that bigger plant, am I also trimming that? I know I'm not taking branches off, but as far as fan leaves go, because there were some that had burnt edges. The majority of them are yellow. So if I take the yellow ones off, that would defoliate the whole plant. So am I doing any trimming?
You don't want to defoliate the whole plant, but if it's got burned, if it's damaged, pluck it off. You need solar panels. The leaves are absolutely the solar panels. So you don't want to defoliate. But we know some people who do some hardcore defoliating and their stuff is fire. Like we have a friend who you see his pin, you're like, wow. And he's got all fire, so you definitely need some fan leaves, but if they're damaged, they're just taking more energy than they're creating, sometimes if it's a fan leaf and you feel like that's a great leaf, it's just got the burn, you can cut the tip, just snip the tip off it or snip that burn part of it.
My next question is if I can save part of the leaf, is that worth it?
It really depends on the leaf and the plant.
And
you know what I mean? Yep. Like if you defoliate, you look over and you're like, wow, I went pretty hardcore on this and I don't want to cut this leaf off, but this is like, then you might want to cut it. You weigh your option.
Okay. Yeah, I always find it so hard cutting so much off because, I see it so like full and bushy and thinking that's, what's best for it. And then it's like at the end of the cut, I'm like, did I do too much?
Well, I think of it a lot like, think about when you're hot, because they're hot. Plants are generating heat. So when you're hot, do you want like your neighbor touching you? You know what I mean? Like sometimes you're on the couch and you're just like, you don't want your arms touching your legs, your hair is touching, the plants it's relatively the same thing. Once they start getting hot and they're working, they don't want their leaves touching. They don't want their buds touching. They don't want, they just, it's one unified plant, but it also still wants its own space.
Right. Awesome.
So that's a lot of the times how, because we do that. Nate's like, you're not pruning enough. And I'm like, I can. He's like, look, and he'll put the light going, look, that leaf is not getting anything. So it's just suck it away and get nothing. Get rid of it. Look, if you look right here, that leaf is touching that leaf, or that leaf is touching that bud, or where that bud is going to be, and if that leaf is touching and water gets mixed in there and it just, for whatever reason, then all of a sudden you bring in all these other potential issues. He's like, well, you could just get rid of the leaf now. And then eventually I'm like, all right, fine. And I get rid of the leaf.
Yeah, I just need you guys around more to talk me into chopping up my plants.
It's him, man. Like I said, I'm the one who I still sit there going, don't do it. I don't top him. That's his job.
I defoliate all the time.
Okay.
Every
time.
time.
The whole girl on
Pretty
defoliating.
amazing stuff. So I have to listen to the expert and I'll just follow your instruction. And so far I haven't, you haven't set me wrong.
Every single day every single day he goes into that grow room, he'll leave with a handful of leaves, like a handful, like bunched up.
Do you juice it? Do you put it in a salad?
We do a variety of different things. It depends. I have, I have different spaces and totes for different things. If it's something that's later in flower and it's got a lot of trikes and a lot of, shine to it, it'll go in a particular box. Otherwise, sometimes it'll go in another box. Sometimes if they're just too damaged or for whatever reason, they just go into our standard compost pile or go out to the chickens. It depends on the particular leaf.
You put it, it's not like you just waste it or throw it away. You actually, because a lot of people out there, probably just, once they clip it, they throw it away and don't realize that it can be so much more beneficial, whether it be to the earth or to our own bodies, or to our animals.
Yep, absolutely. No, because I'll do a lot of whole plant-based stuff, because I'm a farmer, so I believe in whole plant stuff. So, but I also, there's a time and a place for that too. My stuff that is, my sweet leaf and my shiny stuff, I don't necessarily want just a bunch of fan leaves mixed in with that. So I have separate containers for ones that have all of our crystally stuff and our shiny stuff that I'm, going to do a certain something with. And then I have one that's just the fan leaves that are more about the whole plant aspect, not the the other aspects, so, and then, like I said, the stuff that's just too damaged, the chickens will eat it, the dog will eat it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I've found my cat will eat it. The dogs don't, not so much so. But I mean, I've definitely juiced it before, and I've done art projects. I have some leaves pressed in some books, just waiting for me to do something with. So, but I love that we can use every part of the plant. I know, in different other grows that I have cultured and dried out, I've used the stems.
Absolutely. The roots are great. I mean, with soil, roots are a little more complicated because they're so dirty and it's just really hard to clean them, but we've known people who've done hydroponics and we've used their roots incorporated into different stuff. So, yeah.
Now, have you guys ever tried hydroponic growing, or are you strictly soil?
Soil.
I'm a farmer, so I'm saying soil first and foremost all the time. We did try one time to dollop around with some hydroponics, and just with our particular house and our particular water, our water comes out the faucet too hot, so then it was like, okay, then you got to have chillers, and then you got to do this, and it's a lot more unforgiving. You accidentally do a little something wrong, and we killed about 50 clones, I want to say. And then I was just like, yeah, I don't kill 50 clones with soil. And there's that, difference of belief over quantity over quality, a soil person's going to tell you get better quality off of soil because that's what plants want, but you'll get told that hydroponics will give you higher quantity. And if that's what you're looking for, then, that's great, but I personally feel you get a better quality from soil. And, we try to mimic our situations as close to nature as possible, and we feel like if we stay as close to natural as possible, and I've never technically seen, I know I never see a lot of cannabis out in the wild, but I mean, we do have a couple plants here that are very similar to cannabis in genetic speaking. We have a spider tree that grows that, it pops up in the middle of my field and it looks identical to cannabis until it pops out this pretty little purple flower. But when I walk past it, I'm like, I do a double take, like, wait, what, wait, and, like I said, a few different plants, and they never grow in water. My fields flood. That plant died. It didn't live well in that water. So, but I also respect the hydroponic people and how they do it, because hydroponics, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. Now, what are your thoughts as indoor as opposed to outdoor growing?
Oh, see, that's a tough one, because I do, I'm natural and I think we should be as natural as possible. But realistically, for somebody like me, I am highly allergic to every single thing outside, every tree, plant, grass, flower, pollen. So the second I consume something that's been grown outside, I can immediately taste it. I need to be attentive to what's in what's in that area, that, if they're growing, oh God, I can't even think of what it is right now, but like if somebody's got a lot of lavender
that can travel in the air. And
it gets on that. So I need to be careful in regards to stuff like that. A lot of people with their outdoor grows feel a little more liberal using products. So, you know what I mean? But I feel like outdoors, when you're using the sun and the actual ground, and I mean, that's amazing, and unfortunately indoor grow does use quite a bit of electricity, and there are ways to mitigate it to use the least amount of natural resources as possible, but still at the end of the day, you have to do that, but indoor is delicious. But there are some people, I mean, there are some outdoor strands that are just amazing, it's just trusting what's out there, like if you're saying my indoor versus my outdoor, I love them both incredibly, but if you're saying just like your standard market, You have to person it, all these people, there's a lot of people who believe that, if you just pluck off botrytis, that it's great and you just move on. And it's like, those spores are there. And especially for something that's a spores encompass its entire host before they show their spores. So at this point they're showing their spores, they have already encompassed that entire being, that entire item. So I get freaked out about other people's outdoor.
Yeah, I can see that. Especially, I mean, and that's what people have to take into consideration. Those that are new to it and trying it out. We're happening upon growth season, and we're in a legal state. So people can obtain some seeds or clones. They might just throw them outside, and even if they're using it as adult use or whatever, handing it out, I mean, they have to realize that they're handing it out to where they have their own, compromised immune system or issues with outdoor growth. They have to take that into consideration.
Yep, absolutely.
That's a good thing to know.
But if anybody wants to grow their own, I say absolutely. Like, if you got a spot out back that's secure, absolutely. Because your worst attempt at outdoors is still going to be amazing comparatively. You know what I mean? As long as you follow the rules, you be safe about it, And you think Nate's talking about crazy pruning indoors.
Defoliate.
You see an outdoor, oh my God, the defoliation is like, you're sitting there crying like, no, Nate, no. And you're like, well, you know what? At the end of the grow, and I'm like, wow, this is delicious and it's amazing. And there was no botrytis and there was no powdery mildew. And, that's a great plant. I guess it's all right that you ripped everything off of it every chance you got.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll see if I try my hand at outdoor growing. I might, attempt some out on my deck, but I think right now, I think just keeping my 2 indoor tents in my grow room is probably enough for me to handle right now. I don't want to get out of my area of expertise.
I mean, yes and no. You can take one of those clones you've got going in there already, and you just pick one and you just, prune it down. You want to, those you want to, like how he said, Google lollipop in and top in. You want to, because outdoor, how I said a couple inches is different. Like outdoor, he'll have 2 feet of spare stem. Because you don't want, when it rains, you don't want that splash back up on your leaves. That's how you transfer funguses and stuff like that, So, but I mean, the bottom 2 feet off of a 12-foot plant, you're like, that bottom 2 feet's not that big of a deal because I got a 12-foot plant, But you could easily pick one of those small clones you have in there and just, now's the time to build its structure, lollipop the crap out of it, get the structure built, because to be outside, you need a little more structure to it. Inside your tent, your oscillating fan is not giving it the wind. It's going to get in your backyard. It's
not, it's only gently flowing, like it gets the
right. So you're gonna definitely need to be attentive to making sure it's lollipopped really well, and you really build that structure so it almost looks like a wine glass.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So and then throw it out on the back and see what happens. I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
A small greenhouse that I can set up. It has a couple of shelves on either side, but it has. I mean, no.
It'll outgrow that little greenhouse. It's so quick. Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing like your greenhouses. I mean, by no stretch. It's just one of those cheap ones that, you can start seeds or whatever.
Yeah, last year we were like, well, we're just going to grow these.
What was it last year?
Oh, I'm sorry, not last year. The year before last. Season before last, we had a few plants. That we were like, we have this little 10 by 20 greenhouse that we got on Wish, and it's just sitting here. So let's just throw a couple in and see what happens. And next thing you know, the plants were so big they were touching the top of the greenhouse, which was going to cause another issue. So, and at that stage, we couldn't get it out of the greenhouse because it had just like grown in. So we ended up having to take 4-foot cattle panels and put cattle panels square around it with boards going across the cattle panels and lift the greenhouse up onto the boards to give it that 4 feet of headspace it needed, which was amazingly farm ghetto, but worked.
That is so funny. That actually reminds me, I went out to my friend's house in Oregon 2 years ago. And she had a bigger greenhouse, vegetables and stuff out back. But she had a couple of plants in there, and it was like bursting out of the doors. I have pictures of it. It towered over her, and that was just her personal growth. Then her son, who is a processor out in Oregon, I went to that farm, and it was just like rows and like I have never seen so much cannabis in my whole entire, and walking amongst it. And my daughter was with me, and I mean, it was such an amazing experience. I was like, if I could ever grow something even close to this, I'll take knee high, waist high.
Yeah, no, a 25-gallon pot, a 20, you get them in that 5-gallon, you get them big and bushy, then you transfer them into a 25-gallon pot on your deck, you'll get a big, giant plant.
Yeah, ooh, a 20-gallon, holy, that would take up a good portion of my deck. But even just one, I mean, so I don't have to go out of control putting out a bunch of plants. Just, start with one.
Just one.
All right.
Yeah, you don't have to, that's a lot. Even with gardening and farming, it's the same thing. I tell people all the time, the biggest mistake people have is they go too big too quick. And then they, if you set yourself up to fail, then you feel all down on yourself, like, oh, I screwed it up, and I have people come to me all the time, like, I can't grow a garden. Last year I did a 50 by 50 and everything died and the weeds were so crazy. And oh my God. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you did a 50 by 50. Like, pick your 4 favorite crops and focus on those. And then you learn those crops. And then you're like, okay, I got these down. Now I'll learn, 4 more. And you build yourself up. It's the same thing. If you set yourself up where you're like, okay, I'm coming into this and I'm going to grow 1,000 plants and it's going to be great. That's insane, so then you get knocked down. But if you grow one amazing plant, that next year you're like, you know what? I am badass. I grew that amazing plant. I'm going 3, and then you do your 3 and you're like, wow, that was a little more work, but all right. I understand the progression of work and where there is more work and where there's not more work. And all right, you know what? This year I'm growing 6, and you build your way up. And each year you have that confidence that you built inside of you from doing it yourself. That gives you that extra boost. But when you're coming into it like, I suck, I've already killed 15 plants. A prime example is like when we tried the hydro and all them clones died. If we were new to farming and new to planting, that would have been like devastating. That would have been deal breaking. But we were like, no, you know what? We're soil growers. We're to accept that. We know that we've already grown thousands and thousands of amazing plants. So let's go with what we know and continue to work with that. And we went with that, but like I said, if you bite off more than you can chew, and you don't know what you can and can't chew until you try something.
So if you don't know.
Doing one gets you there. And then, like I said, even with your flower indoors and stuff, I always told you, once you get past that first full grow, start to finish, then you're like, all right, I got this, Same thing with outdoor. Once you get through that one outdoor plant, and then you're like, I get it. Now I know what I'm looking. You don't know what botrytis is until you get it. Like you can look up as much pictures.
That might have been what happened to my outdoor plants from 2 years ago. I had way overdone it. I had 12 plants that were all like bushy, and then all of a sudden it started raining, and I didn't realize how detrimental that contributed. And then it was too late.
Yep. And if you were only one plant, you can mitigate that. You can say, okay, I got this one plant and we got rain coming and you can figure out how to protect it. And then next time when you have 3 or 4 plants, you already have in your head, all right, so this is what I had to do for that one plant. So if I need to extend this out for 3 or 4 plants, or if I need to, because in New England, you need to prepare for rain. Like that's a given. once fall comes, you need to have a decision. Either you're going to let your plants get rained on, or you're going to have a system to cover them that doesn't create additional humidity, because that humidity is going to kick your ass just as bad as the rain, so you got to figure all that out. But if you've already made it through that one plant, and if some bad stuff happens and you lose that one plant, that sucks. But that doesn't suck as bad as losing 12.
Right. Yeah, because after I lost all of my plants, that's when I was like, forget it. I can't do this. I just proved that I could do it, and I didn't touch it again until last year when I got the bug again. So, but now I have the bug and it's here, and I have my expert farmers in my pocket, and I'm hoping that maybe this summer I can actually grow some regular garden stuff. Maybe I'll start with the one or two or a couple of things, rather than overdoing it like I've done in the past. So.
That's how you figure it out. You don't bite off more. Even with the farm, we started our first year, we leased 5 acres, but we only worked 3. We had 2 acres that just sat there because we were like, we got to get through this stuff first. We got to learn the system and we got to figure it out. And we figured it out. Then the next year we did the whole 5, and we leased a couple extra. And, each year we just progressed a little more and grew a little more and, found ways to save time and save, Nate, save him a little bit. And we grabbed that stuff and we went with that, and now we're up to, a lot more. So, but it's the same thing.
It looks awesome. I mean, when I dropped some stuff off to you guys yesterday, I mean, with just driving down the road and coming upon the farm, like, oh my God, and just seeing the progression, seeing the plants that were just seeded not too long ago. That's not something that I'm used to. I haven't been exposed to that.
Well, even you as like being a baby nurse, as Duve always tells it, you're a baby nurse. You didn't graduate high school and all of a sudden be a baby nurse. You went to college, you took math, you took science, you took history, you took, I don't know, all that stuff that comes along with being a baby nurse, because I'm not a baby nurse, so I didn't take that. So it's like, it's the same progression. You got to build those developmental steps. And the best way to do that is to do it, when you go to college to be a baby nurse, you didn't take 18,000 classes in one semester. You take 4 or 6 or whatever is it, and you build it. That's why it takes years.
Yeah. And, even as a nurse, I'm still learning. I've been a nurse for 31 years, and I still don't know everything there is to know about.
No, but you take every little lesson you learn and you build off of that, and and growing your cannabis is the same way. You just take those little building blocks and you build off of those. And eventually you look around and you're like, wow, what happened? Like I had one little plant and now I've got like this beautiful garden that's work, because it will always be work, but it's gratifying.
But it's worth it. It's my medicine. It's our medicine. It's something that's changed our lives. I mean, I know I wouldn't be where I am right now feeling so well. I mean, if you guys had known me before, you only met me, once I've already been on my way to health and recovery. But this plant changed my life. It saved my life.
Yep.
Yeah. So what better than to, learn how to grow it and produce my own.
Take control.
Others the process. I mean, this is medicine for a lot of people out there, and especially during this pandemic. I know here in Massachusetts, a lot of people are dependent on adult use dispensaries, and now you can't even buy adult use medical use dispensaries. I mean, there's still, they have some that can supply, but patients can't always get out, and I mean, it's tough. So if they can learn how to grow it at home, if they're able to grow it at home, then
and they can learn to do it in ways that are economically feasible. A lot of people, we went to a conference, oh God, it was a few years back, and we went, and as we were going out to the car to just smoke a joint, we bumped into this woman and her husband who had stumbled across free tickets and she was there, and we were listening to them talk, and she was talking to her husband about how they really wish they could do the stuff that those people are talking about, but they don't have $1,500 to have this person come in and set up a room for them. And Nate, the weirdo that he is, all of a sudden he's like, hey ma'am, just so you know, I'm not trying to interrupt your conversation, and I don't know who told you that, I don't know anything about that, but you don't have to do it that way. You can start small, and yeah, there are crazy better lights, and you can absolutely buy the light and the carbon filter and the this and the that, but you also respect what you have and what you have going on. And like maybe you don't need a carbon filter right off the bat if you live in a place where you don't care if it smells like cannabis, because you're going to smell like cannabis. Yeah, like we don't use a carbon filter. I don't care, I don't have neighbors, and it doesn't bother me, but a lot of people that does, but for your first grow, you can take that into effect, and you can say, okay, you know what, I can't afford a carbon filter for this right now, but I can't afford this, $125 light that comes with the light bulb for flower and the light bulb for veg and all the pull cords and a bunch of other stuff, and I can afford to get that right now. And maybe you get that and you get through your first grow and you realize, wow, I just grew a plant that I got 4, 5, 6, 7 ounces from, depending on what you do. And then you do the math. You're like, even on the illicit market, if or the gray market or the original market or whatever the market's called now, I hear a lot of people talking about, $200 is, what they average spend on the illicit market. It's like, so if you just grew yourself 4 ounces at $200 an ounce, you just saved yourself $800. And yes, you paid for lights. Yes, you paid for soil, but you didn't really pay $800 for lights and for soil.
My nephew actually grew it on his desk with, just one of his, LED desk lights in his room, and he'd shut the shades, he'd make sure the shades were shut at the proper times, so the room was darkened enough. I mean, it wasn't anything elaborate. And he didn't get 4 ounces. I think he might have gotten at least an ounce, but I mean, that on a desktop. And then even when I first started, in my basement in one of those wardrobes, that you can close on, with a sheet over it, a white sheet. And the only thing that I bought was an LED light. I bought a set of 400 LED lights, and that's how I started. I didn't have anything elaborate because I didn't think it was going to evolve into anything. And then once I got, a semi-good grow out of that, I was like, ooh, went on to Craigslist and got myself a tent. And then that, they started growing that, and that's how I got a bigger tent.
And when you're economically oppressed and stuff like that, it's a lot easier to justify, okay, I just grew this plant and I was able to get, 2 ounces. So that, would have cost me $400. And yes, I paid $60 for electric and I paid this, but at the end of the day, that still saved me $200. So now maybe I can take that $200 and reinvest it back into my grow. Because while I did this cycle, I noticed that I could have really used a little more X, Y, and Z, or a bigger pot, or, a tent to put it in, as opposed to just my whatever. I mean, we started it. We had our very first cloning thing like too many years ago. We had a fish tank, like an old fish tank that we literally wrapped in black duct tape. And we had like little tiny oscillating fans clipped to the side of it, like blowing inside because it was too hot. And it was the stupidest thing we ever did, but it got those plants where they needed to be to move on to the next stage. And then we said, okay, you know what? We need to adjust this cloning situation. This isn't going to work, and we got a better cloning situation, and then, we upgrade our lighting system. And then we're like, okay, wow, instead of, 2 ounces of plant, we're getting 4 ounces of plant. That's awesome. We say, okay, well, you know what? More roots, more fruits. Let's jump up these pots and go to the 25-gallon pot. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's just all different techniques that you learn as you go through your systems. And then, like I said, you can take that money that you saved and reinvest it back into yourself. Yeah. And like I said, then you're making your system better. And then all of a sudden you're like, a lot of people love edibles, but they don't have the products to make them. Well, all of a sudden you're like, wow, I actually grew a large enough plant that I can take some of this and make my own butter. Or like, you're like, wow, my plant is ridiculously covered in trikes because it is just shiny and beautiful and amazing. So you're like, so now I have all this sweet leaf and now I can make my own butter or my own oil or my own, and it just in the long run makes you more self-sufficient.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I love about, knowing people in the community and getting all of this help, because you can't get this help just from reading a book, just from looking up online. I mean, I've done all that, but, when I have specific problems and have specific questions, you need them answered, and, in a fairly timely manner, you can fix it before it screws up your whole row.
Yep. I mean, fortunately, at least with nutrients, you're a little more time savvy. You know what I mean? Like you can and you got a day, but you notice a weird bug bite or something. You don't have time to wait, to work the rest of your work week and then get your day off and go YouTube and spend 15 hours going down some YouTube wormhole trying to figure out what is this weird spot to find out it's something,
as you get cellulitis that's like ballooning out your whole arm and you're getting septic and hospital is not where you want to be these days.
No.
So before a patient.
Yeah, no hospitals. I told my kids all the hospitals are closed. They better hope they don't do anything that gets them hurt because they're all closed.
Right? You're going to be doing a lot of self-healing at home. Get that first aid kit buffered up.
Yep, I told my daughter, I said, remember that time with the glue and the duct tape when I put my finger back on? I'm like, don't cut yourself because we're gluing and duct taping that finger right back on.
Well, guys, this is Eric and Mike. We appreciate you guys. You had such an amazing segment today. I think there was a lot of people watching that learned a lot today.
Nate's mad because I hijacked his thing.
Well, so are there, Nate and Avril, are there any takeaways? What are the takeaways for Jodi for over the next few days? Is it just defoliating and waiting?
Defoliate, feed a little more on that plant on the left in the flower tent. Add a little more soil to the 5-gallon pots that are in the veg room.
Raise them up more if she can.
Raise them up higher closer to the light if she can. Milk crates are awesome for that. I don't know if you use kitty litter totes, the bags, not the bags, the little plastic boxes that kitty litter comes in. Those are also great to use to put under your plant, lift it up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can use anything to prop it up. Like I said, milk crates.
Preferably plastic.
Preferably plastic because wood absorbs and moisture issues. And I think you're using cloth pots, so wood's not the best idea. But yeah, litter, anything that comes we went through a stage where we were stealing anything that, not stealing, the cats all of a sudden, all their litter came in those plastic totes because I'm like, I need more plastic things. But yeah, definitely lift those plants up higher. Like I said, top off that, not top, you want your soil to go to about an inch from the top of your pot in an ideal world, but if your plants, if that's not going to go right now, then, even if you just put in an extra inch of soil, every bit is better. But other than that, prune down a little bit the big plant in the veg room, prune that down a smidgen and slap that bad boy in the flower. Bad girl, sorry. Yep, slap that bad girl in the flower. Boom.
Yeah.
That was it.
I'll open up some room for me to be able to transplant a couple more of those others that are starting to get a little loose out. And I didn't pull any out of the solo stuff, but there's a couple of those that need to be
Awesome.
Yeah, you're doing great. Kicking butt.
Awesome. I can't wait for the end. I know I don't want, to rush time, but I can't wait to see what my results are going to be this time.
It's always nice when you get to see the fruits of your work.
I know, and I can't wait to share it with you guys.
Well, guys, thank you so much for spending time with us today. We really appreciate it. You guys are are always hopefully back on Wednesdays and Sundays for the next installment of Green Nurse on the Grow. And so thank you, Jodi, and thank you, Avril and Nate.
Thank you,
I'm gonna
guys.
say hi to Nate.
You guys have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, thank you, Jodi and Avril and Nate. That's awesome as always. I don't know if anyone. I think anyone's actually guessed the exact number yet. So we got a couple more minutes, some time for some folks to come on and guess. So yeah, a few more minutes, and then we'll probably call it a day because we got to get up. We got to go on a little trip. You want to try some hot sauce? No. You're like, shut up. Shut your mouth. What's up, Rodney? Thanks for joining us back. Got some more guesses coming on. Yeah, Johnny, we there was a little hiccup in the stream. We were down for like 20 seconds, and it went right back up. But it, like I said, came back on as a second stream. Yeah. Keep on guessing. We got some CBD gum. Just for those of you that are still coming in, this is what the giveaway is today. We had a pretty cool show. We had DJ Stenny. We figured out who Mary Palmer was.
Mary Palmer.
And we had... What's that?
Spam.
Oh, Nick, the intern is just going to go from 1 to 1,000 now until he wins.
You got to guess a number.
So, Rodney, the competition is for this CBD gum. Not this open one, but a full one, which is pretty awesome. You got to guess a number between 1 and 1,000. And that's about it. Yeah, it's pinned, Rodney.
You'll be going a long time, Nick.
Rules are pinned to the top.
Got a lot of numbers to go through.
Ba-ding, ba-ding. Hey, Darlene. Hey, Michelle Matthews. One of these days, I'm going to convince Michelle Matthews to come on the stream. Come on the show. One of these days. So, by the way, everyone, we're going to have, I think, merch as early as tomorrow. Is anyone interested in merch? I don't know. Are you? Mugs.
Hey, guys, I hope all is going great. Happy, healthy, y'all.
The gum is peppermint, Ms. Grace.
Johnny Two Sides. It was cool, man. I did like Canada. It was fun. Never
So
been
the
to
merch today is
I've been
CBD
to,
gum.
I
I'm
took a
chewing
trip
gum.
to get
Can't have the one I'm
Vancouver,
chewing.
but I lived in
We are going to have
Winnipeg,
Cushing sweatshirts.
Ottawa,
We're going to have Cushing t-shirts. We're going to have Cushing
and
mugs. Anything else you guys want?
I lived in Winnipeg, Toronto, and Ottawa.
I'm sorry if you can all hear me chewing. This gum is delicious. Getting so close to the winner. How come nobody is picking that number, the right number? You just gotta type it into the thing. If you type it in, you might win. Usually Eric sings. But today he's just scratching.
Ready to smoke? Y'all taking too long. None of y'all guessing. I'm finna just tell the number. Y'all taking way too long. Way too long.
Nick, you don't get to win, Nick. I don't know why Nick keeps... I mean, I guess he gets to win. Nick is just like mashing numbers on the keyboard, and he's like 1/3 was just his last guess. 1/3. I've seen some guesses that are close. Y'all people are silly.
Dang, it's only 1,000 numbers.
So close.
A lot of people ain't even putting numbers. Who's still out there? Who's watching? We need more numbers, 'cause they all wrong. Every single one is wrong.
Wait a second.
Y'all ain't said it yet. Wrong. Wrong.
All right. So I know Scott, the super fan, has been watching.
Wrong. How many viewers do you usually have?
Who's asking?
Johnny, we only have probably 20 to 30 viewers.
So at a time, our top has been 70 something. On average, on most shows, we get about
Michelle, you can stand with that number, but that don't mean you won. 977 is a losing number, man. So you might want to stand with another one. You might want to stand with another one.
Scott the Superfan, if you're still on, message me. Because I know what the number is. And we've had one that was really close. I love that y'all are vying for this. Michelle. That's funny. So I think are you ready to sing your song? Are you like mentally prepared yet? Do you need a minute to like pull yourself together?
Waiting on everybody.
No, because we don't need to wait any longer.
Who won?
So do you want to hum a quick?
No,
you're not doing it anymore because that stings.
It's too long.
So everyone, the winner, because they were the closest.
And the winner is
Michelle Lee Matthews.
Michelle Lee Matthews.
Yep, she was one off. So the number was 978, and she guessed 977. Michelle.
Oh, I was talking mess to her too.
You were, but that's okay.
Dang, Michelle.
She was even trying to make other guesses.
And I was talking mess to you, and you won. Now you could throw it back at me.
Michelle, you won because you were closest. The number was actually 978. And you guessed 977.
Look at her. She going hard right now in the comments.
Michelle's an amazing chef, by the way. She's a traveling
I'm sorry,
chef.
Michelle.
She's gonna come
I
on.
am giving my sincere apologies.
See, as soon as he knows
Michelle Lee Matthews.
As soon as he knows that you touched the food, he's like
understanding her 977 count, and I'm glad she was able to live with it.
Michelle Matthews.
But just understand.
Taxes. So, Michelle, if you haven't been watching the show, Eric likes to take taxes from the prizes.
Still got to play taxes. So you can talk mess all you want, because you still go get
the CBD gum comes with like 10 pieces. By the way, CBD gum.
And you get charged 48%. So I'll be taking my 5
He'll be
pieces.
taking 4.8 pieces.
I'm taking 5. We round it off. We round it off in taxes.
Michelle, congratulations.
You get a half-open bottle of
we appreciate you.
5 pieces of gum. Congratulations.
And Michelle, there's Johnny on Twitch is congratulating you too. I know you don't know that.
Taxation is theft.
We're all actually very excited for you, Michelle.
But until you can put the thief in jail, it's mine. Thank you. Congratulations to Michelle Lee Matthews for winning us some nice CBD bubble gum. Courtesy of Mary Palmer.
Yeah, Mary Palmer. That was really sweet of them. This is their logo. So when you're searching Michelle on Instagram or Facebook for Mary Palmer, that's what it looks like.
Who's the Good Morning Shut-ins?
That's the name of our show. So it's somebody
late.
No, it's they had to come in as a different show. They had to. It's one of our same people. It might be.
They
April,
still
it might
came
be
in.
Nick.
They came
it's
in
probably
late.
Nick, because Nick was spamming the comments.
No, they came in late because they said good morning earlier. They said sorry I'm late, and now they're saying your tie is amazing, which means they just seen a tie. Which means they just came in.
Hello there. Who is that? Who's just said my tie is amazing?
You're late. You showed up at the
so
end
Michelle,
of the
that's
show.
the logo. If you find them on Facebook or Instagram, just message them and say, my name is Michelle Lee Matthews, and I won the CBD gum today because I guessed closest.
The show.
And they'll ask for your address, and then they'll mail it out to you. Because
it's time for us to go. And we tired of looking at y'all. So we are about to go.
Bye.